Elite Facts presents
Terrifying kids' toys from the past that will give your kids nightmares.
8.
Little Miss Noname. The eyes. Don't look into them. We're pretty sure they'll steal your soul. Little Miss Noname was a doll that was marketed by the Hasbro toy company way back in the mid-1960s. This horrific children's doll, if you can even call it that, came dressed in a ragged burlap sack and had enormous unblinking eyes and a taut little mouth. When extended, one of her hands made Little Miss Noname look like she was begging. Oh, because, while it's creepy as it is, you also have to feel bad for it too. She also had a plastic tear on her cheek. The doll was supposed to tug at the heartstrings of little girls, but it had quite the opposite effect. Little girls were instead creeped out beyond belief when seeing the creepy Little Miss Noname. Hasbro discontinued production of the doll after only 1 year, although they tried offering her in a promotion with Borden's Dutch hot chocolate as a final attempt at popularizing the doll. Because, having a depressingly creepy doll with your nice hot chocolate on a cold winter's night is exactly what kids want.
7.
Big Lou, the 4-foot-tall robot. So essentially, this is what Jambi the Genie would look like if he drank a ton of cough syrup and did meth. And that's saying something, because the writers had to have been on something when coming up with ideas and writing episodes of Pee-wee's Playhouse. But anyway, Big Lou will haunt any corner of the room you stick him in. He has a pendulous right arm perfect for crushing the malleable skulls of small children, and a grin that says,
"As soon as you fall asleep, I will wheel myself to your bed and make sure you don't wake up."
If you want to hear him actually speak, just turn the giant crank on the back of his head and listen as he spits out what sounds like a screaming giraffe.
6.
Hugo the Man with 1,000 Faces. Hey kids, do you like to play dress-up? What about dressing up dolls and other toys? Yeah, well, here you go. Here's a creepy small Donald Pleasance doll you can dress up. Yeah, this is pretty creepy to say the least. In 1975, U.S. toy company Kenner introduced Hugo, Man of 1,000 Faces, for children 5 to 11 years old. Not only was Hugo bald-headed and bare-faced, he was also only half a man whose body ended at the cuff of his blue shirt. The doll's head was completely made out of soft rubber, and his arms were stuffed with cotton. Now, why are we going into the specifics about the materials? Well, if you pulled a string attached to him, you could make his arms move, and let's just say it's very, very unsettling, as it looks like he has an extreme case of muscle spasms. Hugo came with disguises that could be glued onto him, or onto yourself with a special glue. Hugo's popularity didn't last beyond the 1970s. Perhaps this was because the special glue for sticking on his disguises didn't last very long, and ordinary glue could not be used in its place. Or perhaps it was just because he was so creepy and the idea of the doll was so bland and boring that it just couldn't keep a kid's attention.
5.
Baby's first butcher shop. Oh, because that's exactly what an infant child wants as a toy. In Victorian times, gruesome-looking doll-sized butcher shops were apparently the hot item to buy your kids when gift shopping, as it was apparently the popular alternative to regular doll houses. Although they looked quite terrifying, they were incredibly popular with the less squeamish children. These butcher shops were an exact representation of actual butcher shops and included wooden butchers and their assistants in striped aprons, strings of sausages, whole miniature carcasses hanging from real iron hooks, and floors covered with sawdust and blood. Now sure, today there's no way you'd see anything like this sold in Toys R Us, well, mainly because they went bankrupt, but you get what we mean. But in Victorian times, it was akin to the supermarket playset of today, both with the purpose of learning about money and food.
4.
The Creeping Baby Doll. Yes, that's its real name, and it lives up to its namesake. Patented in 1871, the Creeping Baby Doll was, as you can probably see, a very, very creepy Victorian doll that was supposed to depict a crawling baby. Although it was the first crawling children's doll, it did not appeal to little girls because it looked extremely scary. It weighed a lot, and it wasn't interactive enough. But here's the thing, crawling back in those days was actually known as creeping, and was seen as an activity of animals and crazy people. Standing tools were used to encourage children to stand and walk from a very young age. But sometime in the mid-1900s, crawling became normal, and dolls with clockwork elements became popular.
3.
The Gilbert U238 Atomic Energy Lab. quite possibly the most dangerous gift you could give to a kid. Now, sure, at face value, this isn't scary. It's the concept of this toy that's scary. This is a kind of an infamous case of a toy being dangerous to a child's health, as the Gilbert U238 Atomic Energy Lab was an elaborate nuclear lab set produced for children in 1951. It cost $50, that's approximately $350 in today's economy thanks to inflation, and included 3 very low-level radioactive sources: a Geiger-Muller radiation counter, a Wilson cloud chamber to see the paths of alpha particles, a spinthariscope, 4 samples of uranium-bearing ores, and an electroscope to measure radioactivity. Alfred Carlton Gilbert, the inventor of the set, claimed that the radioactive materials provided in the set were absolutely safe. Boy, was he a fool, as anything with radioactive materials is going to be a potential hazard. However, we do live in a world where at one point liquid mercury was considered a perfect form of medicine. But today, of course, we know that exposure to the U238 isotope is linked to cancer, leukemia, lymphoma, Gulf War syndrome, and other serious ailments. Fortunately, the terrifying radioactive learning set was only available for 1 year, from 1951 to 1952, before it was taken out of circulation.
2,
Skinny bones. Okay, we're sorry, but how is this not creepy? Let's ignore the gangly, skinny limbs for 1 minute and focus on the face of this thing. That is the face of a denizen. That is almost guaranteed to give kids nightmares. I mean, look at the kid to the left of the packaging. She looks horrified. It's hard to find educational toys that aren't also a little strange, but this one really takes the cake. The kids might have fun putting it together, but then what? Do you take it apart and have little pieces of this kid's body lying all around your home waiting to be stepped on? Or do you leave it intact and stare at the creepy little boy skeleton in your kid's room? I mean, it looks like something directly out of Tim Burton's worst nightmares. As the box clearly states, this isn't the only skeleton kid you can buy and put together. Good God, that means there are more of them. Apparently, there's also a little girl version, and according to the box, there's an entire family of these little bones people. Great, now you can collect them all. We've got a suggestion. How about when your family members go to sleep, place all the Skinny Bones family members around their bed and just have them staring at the family member when they wake up.
1,
Mysterious baby keyboard from hell. This, quite possibly, might be the most disturbing toy ever created. This is literally something directly out of the nightmares of H.R. Geiger. Who decided that babies like to play with things that look like other babies? This thing is downright horrifying. Now, it's unclear what line of toy this is or what the buttons on it actually did, but could you imagine finding something like this in your grandparents' attic? Of course, the fact that it's covered in dirty, sticky fingerprints doesn't help it any, but even if it was all cleaned up, it would still be terrifying. The baby isn't even cute. It also isn't really shaped like a baby. Why would any toddler want to pound on a keyboard that's connected to an infant? It's just plain wrong. And that's our list. Did we leave any terrifying toys off our list that you know about? Well, let us know in the comments below, and please remember to subscribe and tap the bell button to be notified when new videos are uploaded. Thanks for watching.
Don't forget to like us and subscribe for more Elite Facts.